completely empty 5 hours ago. Police down the beach, down the pier. We're expecting a tsunami surge to hit 3 feet. Local officials say they're not expecting any significant damage inland, but as a precautionary measure, they are asking people to stay off the beaches, stay out of the marinas, stay out of the harbor. Earlier, we talked about the USS Dubuque, a Navy ship that was resupplying at the Steel Beach Naval Weapons Station just south of here. That ship has been taken out to sea away from any potential damage because it's involved in loading weapons on and off of that ship. We have been told that basically the situation is pretty much normal here, but people are asked to stay away from the beach, stay out of the marinas, and we're just watching and waiting to see what happens when that storm surge finally, or that tsunami surge finally hits the west coast in an hour or so. Dave Hoff?
That's exactly right. And the thing about the threat of a tsunami is it could range from a ripple to a wall of
7
water.
feet. So you have to be careful. And in fact, we're seeing some estimates for higher waves along the California coast and some estimates for just a few feet. But it's hard to determine. It's hard to predict. Scientists and experts can't predict it. The first waves of the tsunami are closing in on the west. As we said, Chad Myers is standing by with more on what we can expect, what we can predict. Chad.
Well, the forecast is for an 8-foot wave to move into Crescent City. Now, this is not a wave that is going to last 1 second and then go back out. Okay, this could be a 3-mile long wall or bulge in the water level, going 500 miles per hour. So I'm not talking about a wave that come in and just kind of splash up against the rocks and then splash out. This comes in with force and mass, and it moves onshore, and it stays 8 feet tall for quite some time. This doesn't just go in until the end to the beach road and then splash back out. This is going to go completely over the beach road at 8 feet tall and keep going. There's the earthquake. There's Hawaii. The lines mean how many hours away the wave was. That was a 3-hour. That was 6-hour. This is now 9 hours away, and we are about 9, maybe 9.25 hours from when this actually happened. West Coast, it is coming. It is coming right now. All the way from Straits of Juan de Fuca, all the way back down to Crescent City. And now what we have, different than Hawaii. And I'm going to show you Hawaii in a second, where this was Maui, and the waves went around Maui, and this is actually where all of that wave action, that 7-foot wave we talked about already. This is now coming onshore straight on. This is going to plow into the West Coast. This is the biggest event that the West Coast has seen in your lifetime. This is it. You cannot be on the beach for this. You must be out of the way. This is a very big deal. Dave, let's go ahead. Let me show you what's going on here. The wave came in. We know that there are three waves that came in all the way here from across Kauai. Here's Honolulu, and there's the bay. There's Kahului, right there. You wouldn't even expect this to get anything because it's kind of in a little valley, and the wave came this way. But look at the wave up and down. The whole wave went up first. Sometimes you think about, we talked about this, about the old tsunami back in 2004, how the water went down first. This water did not go down first. This is a positive wave initially, which means that the wave goes up first, then goes down, and then back up. That's what it looks like. This is I know it's a raw-looking map, but this is what the NOAA National Weather Service is giving us right now. The normal wave shouldn't be doing anything but up and down a foot. All of a sudden here, in that bay that I showed you in Hawaii, the water went up 6 feet, then down 6 feet, then up 7 feet, so a total of a 13-foot up and down. Back down, and now it's back up again. So this is not just one wave. This is a series now of 3 so far that are just as big. They're all about the same, all about 6 feet right there. So if you see one wave in California, you say, oh, it's over. No, it is not. That wave's going to go back out. Another one is right behind it 20 minutes later. It's going to go out, and another one is behind it 20 minutes later. This is a long-term event, and people need to be literally away from the shore. There's nothing more to say than that.
Let me you said something that of course, caught our attention here, that this is a big deal, that this might be in the lifetime of people along that coast the biggest event. How do we know that? It hasn't happened yet.
It has not happened yet, but we have not had an 8.9 earthquake in Japan that moves the water up. What happens, the animation kind of showed that, but I didn't have time, I didn't see it. There's a subduction zone, there's dirt, there's crust down below Japan. Then there's another plate that is this plate moving this way. What happens is that the plates are moving down. All of a sudden, there's so much strain on the two plates as they go. This is not a California quake that slides. This is a quake that pops. This dirt, this crust of the earth popped up. And that popping up pushed all the water up. That pushing of the water up makes a huge wave. It went both ways. Obviously, it went to Japan first because it was closest, but it's been traveling across the Pacific Ocean and it's heading to the U.S. I could easily see Crescent City getting that 8-foot wave moving all the way into the city itself. There's the wave itself. It keeps on going. It has a lot of, it's not just a small little peak like this that you would gotta go body surfing in. It is a mass of water that's miles long. So think about an 8-foot wave that just keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming. That's the threat, that it's not just right 5 feet from where the shore is. Right. This could go for half a mile inland, depending on the topography.
That was what I was going to ask you. You know, well, we talk about there is quite a range of what could happen. It could be small, it could be large. There is a certain amount, of course, of uncertainty with these the tsunami threat. What would you say is their best guidance for someone who is maybe in Crescent, maybe in this area or in other parts of California, how far inland or how high up they should go to ensure that they will be safe as they're watching us now and preparing for whatever may come their way?
Well, it's impossible to tell because every basin is different. The topography under every basin is all, can be sharp, it can be shallow, it can be just a beach. And a crescent-shaped beach would be the worst place to be, and you need to be far away from that because that would funnel all the water to the point of that crescent beach, Crescent City, and then that water would just keep running on shore. If you are on a cliff face on the shores of Oregon, literally you could be on top of the cliff 300 to 500 feet higher than the shore and watch it safely from there. And that would only be a quarter mile inland or more. If you're in a flat land where the water literally could keep going and not just splash up against the big bluff and splash back, you need to be a mile away from the shore at least. The police are telling people where to go.
Where to go,
The
right.
sirens are going off. This, you know, we're talking about it here on the East Coast. The West Coast, they know about it. They've known about it a long time. Go to the Twitter deck and you can watch all the tweets coming down. We're running, we're going. And they're going as fast as they can. Literally, people are fleeing the beach.
If there's any good thing about this, Chad, is that there is a little bit of warning for the people in California.
9 hours of warning.
Yeah.
And
there's no excuse.
And Chad and Kate, in fact, when we look at the initial estimated arrival times for the tsunami waves, we have them all around 7:50 to 8:15 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah,
so around 11 something here in the east. All right, we are watching. Thank you so much, Chad, as always. We're watching the West Coast. We're watching Hawaii, and of course we're keeping a very close watch on the devastation that we are seeing play out in Japan. Recovery, rescue efforts all underway. We'll be right back with our continuing coverage. Breaking news here. Stay with us.
Okay, a song by Paul Beckman. Holly Rainbow song. This song is going to be called Good News for People in BC. It's not expected to be much of a tsunami here. Using D and A. By Paul Beckman, Paul Rainbow song created March 11, 2011. It's now 7:30. Well, good news for people here in BC. The 8.9 earthquake in Japan and resulting tsunami. I just called the police to get a lowdown on what's happening. They said, no scare, no scare, no scare here. They said the USA channels are pumping it up, making it sound like more than what it really is. They said, here's just an advisory warning for places like Tofino, that could be the worst. Well, I asked them, is there any number that you can call? Yeah, they gave me one. They gave me a website you can go to, and it's called, in BC, www.pep.bc.ca. Again, yes, that's 3 W's. www.pep, that's PEP.bc.ca. Well, I live on Salt Spring Island, and I was wondering about. I'm in the Gulf Islands. Is there a threat or not? The police reassured me. They said on the phone, no, it's just an advisory. But I watched the damage in Japan on the video clip. Houses and boats and more stuff, yeah, being tossed and turned like they were toys, dragged back into the ocean. Oh boy.
Something as severe as the earth moving. So what we saw were the signs above shaking, the ground was shifting below us. People who were around us were quite alarmed. And it's important to note that this is a country that doesn't usually get alarmed, especially when we talk about earthquakes. So when you see everyone start to react, what that tells you is that this is a significant event. As soon as the train line stopped and people were told to evacuate out of the subways, that was a sign and a signal that this was a national emergency. This is a country where the train lines run on the second and not by the minute. There is no delay. So for it to shut down like this means something significant. For this city of 13 million people, what we're experiencing right now is gridlock. I'm standing on a road, and the reason why we've pulled off is because the roadways simply are not moving. There's a little bit of movement here and there, but the problem that we're running into right now, especially as we try to travel north, is that it's very, very difficult to get around because the rail lines have completely stopped. So the city is in gridlock right now, and especially up north, though, if you compare the two situations, you simply can't compare. Tokyo is relatively unscathed. What we're seeing north of us, though, that is a significant crisis on a number of fronts. Search and rescue, trying to deal with all of the fallout from the structural damage, from the infrastructure issues. So that it's simply, the scope of it is really difficult to imagine, and we may